She moved to town hoping for a fresh start, but one cruel act in the schoolyard changed everything. In a single silent moment, Maya became the target of a viral humiliation. But what began as a senseless act of bullying turned into a movement that would shake the entire community. You won't believe what happened when Maya finally broke her silence. And the world started listening. Maya Thompson had only been in town for a week. A new school, new faces, and a new start. At least, that's what she had hoped. Standing quietly in the corner of the school courtyard, she tried to blend in while chatting with a few girls from her class. For the first time in a long while, she felt a flicker of peace. Maybe, just maybe, this town would be different. But life has a cruel sense of timing. Behind her, a boy moved silently through the crowd. No one warned her. No one stopped him. With a half smirk and a bottle in hand, he stepped up behind Maya and dumped the contents over her head. There was a sharp sting. Her scalp burned. Her eyes widened in pain as the liquid dripped down her back and soaked through her shirt. She froze. All she could hear was laughter. Sharp, echoing, merciless. Some students pulled out their phones. Others gasped. But most did nothing. Maya stood there, drenched and humiliated. The boy who attacked her laughed as he walked away, high-fiving his friends. One even yelled, "Welcome to Harker High." Nobody intervened. Nobody helped. At that moment, the so-called fresh start shattered. Maya wasn't just the new girl anymore. She was the target. The school's response? A generic email to parents. An incident occurred involving 2 students. Appropriate action is being taken. Appropriate action? The boy who poured the chemical? Still in class the next day. Maya. At home, dealing with a burning scalp, a broken spirit, and a viral video spreading across every platform with captions like, "Girl gets owned." Her phone buzzed non-stop. Comments flooded in, some in support, but many with laughing emojis, sarcastic jokes, and cruel taunts. One even said, "Lighten up, it's just a joke." But Maya knew this wasn't a joke. This wasn't just bullying. It was violence. And everyone's silence made it worse. Her parents were furious. But her mother, a former human rights attorney, quickly realized what the school was trying to do. Minimize, contain, and move on. Not this time. Maya didn't feel strong. She didn't want to be a voice for others. She wanted to disappear. But something in her cracked open. A quiet anger. A need to speak. She opened her laptop and typed, "The girl in that video is me. What happened wasn't a prank. It was an assault. And I won't stay silent." She hit post. She didn't expect much. But what followed was a wave. Within hours, #JusticeForMaya began trending. Thousands of people shared her post. Celebrities reposted her words. Survivors reached out with stories of their own. The internet, for once, didn't laugh. It listened. And for the first time since the attack, Maya didn't feel alone. Maya never expected her post to go viral. She didn't craft it carefully, didn't run it by anyone. It was raw. Honest. A digital cry for help. And somehow it reached the right people. Within 24 hours, news outlets began contacting her. Local reporters showed up at the family's front door, and by the second day, national media had picked up the story. Her inbox overflowed with thousands of messages. Some from other teens who had been bullied, some from parents thanking her for her courage, and others from complete strangers just saying, "We see you." Her mother helped her navigate interviews while shielding her from the harshest online comments. "You don't have to read everything," she reminded Maya gently, noticing the tears that sometimes welled up after scrolling. But Maya insisted. She wanted to know. Wanted to feel every part of this movement she had unwillingly sparked. The school district issued a formal statement, but it was cold and vague. "We are committed to student safety," it read. But there was no apology. No mention of justice. So Maya's supporters decided to act. Students organized a peaceful sit-in in front of the school. Hundreds showed up wearing purple, Maya's favorite color, holding signs that read "Silence isn't neutral," and "Speak up for Maya." Parents and teachers joined, and soon the school board was overwhelmed with calls and emails demanding accountability. That same week, a prominent civil rights organization offered Maya legal assistance. What happened to you wasn't just bullying, they told her. It was an assault. and it deserves justice. Still, Maya didn't want revenge. "I don't want that kid expelled forever," she said in an interview. "But I do want people to understand that words and actions have weight." When she returned to school for the first time since the incident, the hallway was silent. Some kids stared. Others looked away. But a group of students approached her with quiet nods and soft words of support. One girl handed her a bracelet that said "Brave." Another slipped her a handwritten letter that read, "Because of you, I told my mom what happened to me." Maya smiled. Not because she felt whole, but because she knew healing had started. The principal finally agreed to meet with Maya and her parents. It wasn't a long meeting. He expressed regret and promised to update school policies on bullying and harassment. It wasn't enough. But it was a start. And sometimes, that's all you need. What Maya didn't realize was that a documentary filmmaker had been following her story online. A week later, they reached out and asked to feature her journey as part of a series about youth activism. Maya hesitated. She didn't want more cameras. But her mom reminded her, this could help someone else. So Maya agreed. Soon, she was on Zoom calls with directors and producers, learning how her story could reach millions. Not for fame, but for change. She wasn't just Maya Thompson, the girl who got humiliated. She was Maya Thompson, the girl who made people pay attention. Months passed, but the ripples of Maya's courage didn't fade. The documentary aired online and was later picked up by a streaming platform. Within a week, it had been viewed over 2 million times. Maya couldn't believe how far her voice had traveled. Messages poured in from around the world. Students, teachers, activists, even celebrities. They all had one thing in common. They were moved by her strength. One morning, Maya received a handwritten letter from a girl in another state. It read, "I was planning to drop out because of what happened to me. But then I watched your story. You gave me the courage to speak up. I told my principal. They listened. Thank you, Maya." Maya cried reading it. It was the first time she truly felt that what she endured had created something meaningful. Not just a headline. Not just a hashtag. But change. She was invited to speak at a national education conference. She stood in front of thousands of people. Educators, counselors, school leaders. Her voice still trembled when she began, but by the end, the room was on its feet. Maya didn't speak about herself. She spoke about the silent kids in every school. The ones who sit at lunch alone. The ones who laugh quietly to avoid being noticed. The ones who never tell anyone what they're going through. And the message was clear. If you see something, say something. Silence helps the bully, never the victim. Later that year, Maya helped launch an anti-bullying program across her state. The initiative brought awareness workshops into schools and trained teachers to recognize the signs early. Her own school adopted it first, naming her as a student ambassador. She never sought revenge. She didn't need an apology to heal. What she needed, and what she gave others, was the knowledge that pain could be transformed into something powerful. One day, as Maya walked down the same school hallway where everything had happened, she noticed a new girl being whispered about. Alone. Head down. Familiar. Without hesitation, Maya walked over, sat beside her, and said, "Hi, I'm Maya. Want to sit together?" That moment wasn't filmed. It wasn't shared on social media. But it mattered. Because that's where true change lives. Not in hashtags or applause, but in quiet moments when someone chooses to stand beside another. Maya never forgot what happened to her. But it no longer defined her. It empowered her. Maya's journey began with a moment of cruelty, but it became something far greater. It became a story of quiet bravery, of a young girl who refused to be defined by the worst day of her life. When everyone else turned away, she chose to face the pain, name the injustice, and rise above it. Not just for herself, but for others who've suffered in silence. And that strength didn't just change her school. It inspired a movement. It taught an entire community the meaning of empathy, accountability, and the cost of silence. Through her voice, Maya became more than a victim. She became a leader, a symbol of hope, and a reminder that even the smallest act of courage can echo across a nation. Here we share stories that matter. Stories that reveal truth, inspire change, and remind us that resilience can live in the most unexpected places. So don't let Maya's story be forgotten. Support voices like hers. Hit that like button, subscribe, and join a community where compassion still matters and where every story has the power to create a ripple. Because sometimes, it only takes one voice to start a wave. And sometimes, that voice belongs to someone like Maya.